My guest is Holly Knowles, who's a registered social worker, therapist, and coach. I'm so glad you came in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Because I've always wondered what a coach does. In this, I know what a football coach does, but I've never quite understood how it goes with a therapist. So tell me about that.
That's right. So coaching can mean a lot of things. For me as a therapist, I use coaching for clients who are future focused. So they have a vision or a goal or a direction that they want to go in. And my job is to really help them clarify what that is, figure out sort of what is getting them stuck, and taking action in order to move closer to those goals.
So would this be like a job change, or they're reaching maybe in their 30s and saying, this is what I'm doing now is not what I want to continue doing? Is it those sorts of things?
Exactly. There are many, many reasons why people come and engage with coaches. Often it involves their desire for some kind of a change in their lives. And there are lots of different kinds of coaches out there. So that could mean, for example, career changes, relationships, things that they would perhaps like to change in their relationships, or life in general. They just want to show up in a different way. And they're looking for a little bit of guidance, and that's what I help to do.
It must be very rewarding.
It is incredibly rewarding. I really respect people who really take the time out to really create some space for themselves to try and make sense of what's showing up for them and where they would like to go. A lot of people have this sense of this vision perhaps of where they want to go, but they're not really quite sure how to get there. And as a coach, I believe that we are all experts of our own lives, and we have the capacity to move towards the life that we want. My job as a coach is to really help work with them to clarify exactly what it is that they are looking for.
So what would be the things that get in the way of people being all that they can be?
Well, there are a number of obstacles that can create some stickiness for people and have them really feeling stuck, right? We can call that the fog of incompletion. So they have a sense of where they want to go, but perhaps one of the things is that they're just really not clear, right? They have a feeling, they're not clear, and they're not really sure why. For example, they're unsatisfied in their job. And so for me, it's working with that client to make sure that, what are their values? What matters to them? What is most important in their lives? And is their life reflecting that? And when it's not, then we look at what is different and what needs to be different, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing that can often be a sticking point for people is they have negative self-belief. And, I consider those to be adaptive. Sometimes we have to pay attention to things that go wrong in our lives, and sometimes we draw conclusions about ourselves that just are not true. So my job is to explore what those negative beliefs are and really kind of challenge those and see how we can set those aside and create new, healthier beliefs that are more realistic and that will help them get where they want to go.
It sounds like something somebody could use like at any stage in their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Let's say coming up to retirement.
Absolutely.
How do I want the next 20, 30 years to unfold? So yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, I'm getting a better picture of this. Do you deal with people who are, they're just under so much stress that they can't really even think clearly anymore? Is that something that you deal with folks?
When it comes to coaching, certainly, but it may also be in a more therapeutic or counseling format that people would show up with lots of stress. Let's face it, life is stressful, and it's particularly stressful now. There's, it's more and more expensive to live, and people are working harder. And that can be really challenging for individuals, couples, and families. So when they come to me, they're often showing signs of stress, and it's my job to figure out where those stressors are coming from. Sometimes it's within a relationship. So I will work with couples and sort of figure out, try and make sense of what their distress is all about. And when it comes to individuals, maybe their lives are not reflecting what matters most to them, right? What those values are, like we had talked about a little bit earlier. So it's really my job to kind of make sense of that, to validate their experience, and really kind of help them work with where they want to go and take those actions, right? Because action is really a key part of making the changes that you want in life, right? And even if there's tiny, tiny steps, sometimes those tiny steps in the right direction can be very powerful.
It doesn't have to be monumental. It's just something, change something.
That's right.
Yeah, like give me an example of some that anybody could use that a lot of people are dealing with, and all you need to do, well, it's not all you need to do, but if you just change this, it will make a big difference. Have you had some examples?
Well, certainly, you know, I mean, I think for many of us, if it's a big change that we're looking at, for example, career, we can use that as an example too. Sometimes making a career change feels so overwhelming and so daunting and so impossible, especially if, you know, initially we've decided on a career path because it, for example, it provided financial stability. Lots of people make decisions for those reasons, makes lots of sense, right? But ultimately, if people find themselves in situations where, yes, they're financially secure, but they're really not rewarded by the work that they do, then something is telling them that they need to make a change. And perhaps like dropping, you know, quitting their job and going back to school and, you know, starting all over is very, very daunting. But maybe all it needs is just one small step in that direction. Maybe you just need to do some research on a program that interests you. Maybe you just need to make a shift in your current position to do some of the things that you find more satisfying.
Or maybe it's time to dust off your resume.
Maybe it's time to dust off your resume and just clean it up. So those are little small steps that when people take them, they feel as though they're moving in the direction that they value. And when you feel as though you're moving in the direction that you value, your life can feel much more rewarding and fulfilling, even if it's difficult or challenging.
Now, talking about stress. This is the year. This is the time of year. Okay, so you've got things going on in your relationship, and let's not even get into world events right now and how helpless we're all feeling with what's going on in the world and in politics. But so Christmas coming up, some people put themselves into such a tizzy over Christmas. Do you deal with anything like that?
Well, what I like to do with stressful times is really encourage people to slow down. So the holidays can be such a magical time, as you know, Donna. It can be a joyous time, but like you said, it can also be a very stressful time. For me, I celebrate Christmas, so for that means that I'm shopping, I'm spending time with family and friends, we're enjoying traditions and holidays. That can be really wonderful and joyous, but for many people, these holidays bring sadness and stress and all of those things. So I might suggest that slowing it down and using some mindfulness while you navigate the holidays can actually really make a difference.
If it just comes down to you think you've just got too much to do, you're holding down a job. Maybe you're in a job that this is a busy time of the year on top of it. And you've got kids and they've got all their stuff going on, and then the family and those expectations. Is there anything wrong with handing some of those duties over to other people and saying, you know, this year you're going to write the Christmas cards, this year, and making maybe Christmas dinner, okay, I'll make the turkey, but you bring mashed potatoes and you bring the veggies and you, right? Is there anything wrong with doing that?
Absolutely not. I think that's a wonderful thing to do, is to reach out for support, engage your family members, engage your friends, do what is workable, right? I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to have the best celebrations, to make sure we have all of those decorations done and the presents wrapped and all of those things. That's a lot of pressure.
And everything's got to be perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, does it?
It doesn't, no.
Because what matters most in the holidays is that we connect with the ones that we love, that we take care of ourselves, that we take care of others, and if we can, take care of our community a little bit. So doing what is workable, slowing down, really enjoying those moments where you can just, you know, enjoy a snowfall, for example.
Yes.
You know, sip a lovely hot chocolate. Really slow down, take the time, take care of yourself. And if you have lost a loved one, you know, is there something that you can do to commemorate that person? Bring them with you into the holiday season. So if you're sad, I think that that's okay too, right? We need to make some space for that. And we also need to take care of ourselves and each other.
I think
And if we're doing that, I think that's enough.
that's enough. It's enough. And
Yes.
if the turkey's a little dry, the sun will still come up tomorrow and the world will not come to a screeching halt. Right.
You've got it.
Okay. It's okay.
That's right.
I had a friend who, big Christmas family, and the power went out in the whole neighborhood. So they picked up everything and they jumped in cars and they went to another relative's house who lived about a half hour away where they didn't have a power outage and just kind of picked it up from there. Was it perfect? No, but you do what you got to do.
And I'll bet that that was a memorable experience.
It was, you know, and it's the one Christmas they always talk about, right? Because it was, you know, how, well,
Yeah.
what are we going to do now? And I think my biggest was the family dynamics. And you've got the, let's say the racist uncle, and after a few drinks, oh dear, and it's navigating, and especially now with political situation, navigating away from subjects. Oh dear, yeah.
Yes, that can be really challenging, certainly. And, you know, I have my own personal experiences with family members who I don't agree with. And it can really be stressful because you want to show up for them, you want to celebrate with them. But getting into those discussions, maybe not the time. Maybe it's better to
steer the conversation
set that
away.
aside. Yeah. Set that aside for the time being and maybe have a conversation another time. The other thing that I like to try and do in my practice and with others is really just try to be open to the other point of view, even when I don't agree, because you don't have to agree with someone to just really be curious about what their position is. And, you know, I talked about values before. When you get curious about why someone holds a position and what it is that they value, then it can be a little bit more understandable, even if you don't agree with their political point of view.
Good point, good point. So people are reaching a point in their lives where things are a little, they just need somebody to talk to. How can they reach you?
Well, thank you for asking. I have a practice here in Kingston with Autumn Birch Wellness, and I have website information that they can just go to my website. I'm also available on Psychology Today, so if you just look that up, I'll pop up for the Kingston area and it'll show the areas of practice that I have, and perhaps I can be of help.
That is super. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.